Louisiana, where danger never sleeps. Louisiana looks alive: jazz, parades, neon lights. But beneath that rhythm is one of the deadliest beats in America. For over a decade, it's topped national charts for murder rates, averaging over 20 homicides per 100,000 people. Drive through New Orleans and the beauty distracts you: historic balconies, the smell of gumbo, the sound of trumpets echoing at midnight. But crime spikes where culture thrives. Centuries of poverty, racial divides, and political corruption built a fragile system that cracks every time disaster hits. After Hurricane Katrina in 2005, whole neighborhoods collapsed not just physically but socially. Police forces thinned, jobs vanished, and gun violence filled the gap. By 2023, violent crime had spread beyond New Orleans' Baton Rouge, and Shreveport were fighting their own wars. Local residents talk about avoiding certain blocks after dark like crossing invisible borders. Still, people stay. They rebuild, party, live. That mix of resilience and risk makes Louisiana addictive and terrifying. Next up, we move west to a state with more space, more sun, and just as much danger hiding in the desert. New Mexico, the hidden heat of violence. New Mexico feels empty red deserts, silent mesas, long stretches of nothing. But that emptiness hides something fierce. It consistently ranks near the top for violent crime, with cities like Albuquerque reporting assault rates double the national average. It's not chaos for no reason. Decades of economic decline, drug trafficking routes, and border smuggling have created a strange mix of opportunity and desperation. The meth trade exploded in the early 2000s, turning quiet towns into hubs of gang tension. Albuquerque police still deal with car thefts, shootings, and missing persons on a weekly loop. In 2019, a simple traffic stop turned deadly when two officers were ambushed on the edge of the city, a reminder that danger here isn't loud, it's lurking. Locals lock doors by instinct, not paranoia. Even tourists driving Route 66 notice the subtle fear after dark. Yet, New Mexico still glows with beauty: the same sunsets, same art, same freedom that pull people in. But behind the mountains and murals, danger stays patient. It's the silence that kills here. Next, we head north to a place where isolation itself becomes the threat. Alaska. Isolation breeds risk. Alaska looks untouched. Endless snow, northern lights, freedom everywhere. But that isolation hides some of the darkest numbers in the U.S. The state leads the nation in violent crime per capita, and domestic violence and sexual assault rates are nearly triple the national average. The problem isn't gangs or cities, it's distance. Entire villages sit hundreds of miles apart, cut off by mountains or frozen rivers. Police can take hours, even days, to respond. In 2019, the federal government found over 70 rural communities with no law enforcement at all. When something goes wrong, it stays wrong. Alcohol abuse and depression, often fueled by harsh winters and economic struggle, have turned small fights into deadly tragedies. In Anchorage, bar fights can spiral into shootings. In remote towns, family disputes can become front-page news because help never comes in time. The frontier image: wild, free, untamed, sounds cool until you realize how lonely it gets. Alaska's danger isn't about crime lords or heists. It's human isolation pushed to the edge. Next stop, a southern state where danger comes from something older: poverty and pride colliding in plain sight. Arkansas, poverty, guns, and tension. Arkansas doesn't scream danger at first. It's small towns, church bells, and barbecue smoke. But underneath, the numbers tell a different story. One of the highest violent crime rates in the South, driven by poverty, gun access, and long simmering tension. Little Rock has been a hotspot since the 1990s, when gang violence exploded and the city became known as Bangin' in Little Rock. Decades later, the city still battles that image, and for good reason. In 2022, shootings climbed again, with over 70 homicides in a city of less than 200,000. Why? It's layered. Low wages, weak mental health care, and easy gun access fuel cycles of frustration. Small disputes, a parking lot fight, a bad deal can turn fatal fast, and rural counties see rising domestic violence cases, often unreported until it's too late. Still, Arkansas has grit. Locals talk straight, fix what's broken, and fight for better. But every night, the sound of a gunshot in Little Rock is a reminder, danger here doesn't fade. It just changes faces. Next, we hit Tennessee, where the music's good, but the murder stats hit harder. Tennessee, music mayhem and murder rates. Tennessee's got rhythm. Nashville, Memphis, the sound of America itself. But behind the music is mayhem. The state consistently ranks among the top 5 for violent crime, with Memphis often landing near the top for murders nationwide. It's a mix of fame and struggle. Memphis, home of Elvis and soul, is also home to deep poverty and gang rivalries stretching back decades. In 2022, the city saw over 300 homicides, more than some entire states. Nashville's growth, fueled by tourism and tech, brings new problems: rising thefts, drug overdoses, and clashes between wealth and poverty. One 2022 case, the abduction and murder of a local teacher jogging at dawn, shocked even longtime residents, showing how violence can cut through any part of life. Police work overtime, but the flow of guns and drugs keeps the city tense. Still, Tennessee lives loud. People dance, sing, and dream, even when the streets tell a darker story. It's that mix of hope and danger that makes the state unforgettable. Next, we move to the coast, where Southern charm hides sharp edges. South Carolina, beauty with a violent edge. South Carolina looks like a postcard beach, moss-draped oaks and pastel houses. But step behind the scenery, and the crime numbers shock. The state ranks near the top for violent assaults and has one of the highest rates of women killed by men in the country. Charleston and Myrtle Beach attract tourists by the millions, yet both cities battle rising theft, drug trafficking, and domestic disputes. In smaller towns, law enforcement struggles to keep up. Historical roots from slavery to racial segregation still cast long shadows, creating communities split by class and opportunity. In 2021, a shocking murder case involving the powerful Murdaugh family exposed corruption and violence beneath the state's polite surface. It wasn't just one crime, it revealed how power, money, and silence keep the system spinning. South Carolina's danger isn't chaotic, it's quiet, polite, and personal. That's what makes it so unsettling. Next, we head west to desert heat, cartel trails, and cities on edge. Arizona, border crossings and brutal crimes. Arizona's beauty is deceptive glowing sunsets, red canyons, and endless sky. But along the southern border, it's also a battleground. Smuggling routes for drugs and people carve through its deserts, and the violence follows. Tucson and Phoenix both report high violent crime rates, with Phoenix topping 200 homicides in 2023. Human trafficking, fentanyl smuggling, and cartel-linked violence push police to the edge. Some small border towns see weekly helicopters, high-speed pursuits, gunfire echoing across the sand. Arizona's danger isn't just imported. Rapid growth has created wealth gaps and housing shortages that feed local crime. Heat also plays a role, as long summers drive tempers high and increase domestic disputes. Still, Arizonans are tough. They adapt, carry legally, and protect their own. The desert tests everyone, even law enforcement. Here, survival feels personal. Next, we move north to a state once known for jazz and baseball, now known for something darker. Missouri, shadows over the Midwest. Missouri looks calm from the outside: farmland, rivers, and the Gateway Arch. But cities like St. Louis and Kansas City tell another story. St. Louis has been called the murder capital of America for years, averaging over 60 killings per 100,000 residents. The roots run deep. After industrial jobs vanished, poverty rose fast. Neighborhoods once alive with music turned into war zones between rival crews. Add weak gun laws and failing schools, and the system cracked. In 2014, Ferguson, just outside St. Louis, became ground zero for national protests after the police killing of Michael Brown. The city's unrest exposed a truth many already knew. Tension between law enforcement and communities runs deep here. Today, Kansas City faces a similar crisis, recording its deadliest year ever in 2023. Residents demand change, but the cycle feels stuck. Missouri's danger isn't chaos, it's exhaustion. Violence here feels like history repeating itself. And that brings us to the final question. What do all these states tell us about America itself? The real danger. What these states reveal about America. After 9 states, one thing's clear. Danger in America isn't random. It's built by poverty, addiction, isolation, and broken systems that never healed. Each state shows a different symptom of the same disease. Louisiana bleeds from corruption and disaster recovery. New Mexico fights silence in its deserts. Alaska drowns in loneliness. Tennessee sings through the violence. Missouri burns under pressure. They're not just dangerous, they're mirrors. The U.S. is obsessed with freedom, but freedom without safety turns toxic. Guns outnumber people, mental health care lags behind, and inequality keeps feeding the fire. Until those roots are faced, the list of most dangerous states will stay the same, just shifting names. But people still live, love, and fight in these places. That's what makes America both terrifying and incredible. It survives its own chaos.